Hello everyone, it's Richard Lewis here again with another video. Now it's the weekend, I wake up, I'm rocking my one hangover I have a week, and was planning on just having a nice lazy day and enjoying myself and not making any content, just relaxing, enjoying the Vegas sun. But my plans have changed because I'm going to make a video to give you all a chuckle today on a Sunday, because the Overwatch fans are at it again. Yes, they are. I woke up scrolling through my timeline, checking what's going on in the world of esports, and would you believe it, once again, Overwatch is having its identity crisis, its weekly identity crisis, where these people they've invited into the game, the terminally offended, let's call them, move away from the term social justice warrior, shall we? Just terminally offended, pathetic people. And actual gamers and people who follow esports are having their culture clash. And what's it about? Well, look, before we even get into that, I will just reference that I did talk about how embarrassing and how ridiculous and how fucking absurd that Overwatch is in my new editorial article. I'm back. I'm writing opinion pieces again over at VP Esports, and anyone who wants to pay me exorbitant amounts of money to get my services. And I was talking about how basically in Overwatch there always seems to be, like, just every week something embarrassing because these two fundamental groups, change everything, and no, this is just gaming culture. This is just how it is. Will be colliding endlessly. Blizzard are offering a handout and saying, hey, you guys, come in. We definitely want you here. And all the gamers are like, no, dude, you're killing the fucking party. We're all going to be home at 10 p.m. now. Right. So what's it about? It is about teabagging, my friends, teabagging. So for those of you that don't know what teabagging is, I'm going to tell you. So teabagging is, well, first of all, in real life, teabagging is a sexual act that involves dunking your testicles into your partner's mouth, where they lovingly massage them with their mouth, kind of moving the testicles around like tea bags in a pot of tea, and that's where the phrase comes from. I'm told it's pleasant. Obviously, I talk about video games for a living, so I've never had sex. I'm a big virgin. So, yes, never, couldn't tell you. But I'm told it's very pleasant and enjoyable. So, perhaps somebody can tell me more about it in the comments. Would love to know. But, yeah, so what started happening in gaming culture was after you killed somebody, in particular games, it was certainly popularized in Halo, if you go that far back, what you would do is you would have a crouch mechanic, so you can use cover, increase accuracy depending on the game mechanic, and if you crouch up and down very rapidly over somebody you've just killed, it looks like you may be plonking virtual, of course non-existent, testicles into the mouth of the dead person. It became known as teabagging, just crouching. Obviously, there are no testicles. Obviously, there are no mouths. Obviously, there is no sex involved. It is a video game, and you are just using the crouch mechanic in a certain place. But it became known as teabagging, and it's prolific and in the fighting game community. It's a sign of, it's like non-verbal trash talk is basically how it's used. I beat you, ha ha ha, here's some down movements, and that's it. And it's just been a staple of gaming for, certainly since consoles came out. You know, and something that happened quite quickly in the evolution of multiplayer. So I don't know why all of a sudden people are upset by it, but that's it. So what I'm going to do now is, because I want you guys to have the full facts before you make an informed decision about this shocking incident that is taking the Overwatch League by storm, I'm going to show you what happened. All right? I must prepare you. I don't usually do trigger warnings, but guys, this is serious. This is somebody gratuitously crouching in a video game. I think it's only fair I give you some warning. If you're faint of heart, if you've been affected by somebody crouching near you, you know, perhaps you don't want to watch this. Perhaps you might want to skip. It'll be approximately a minute, all right? But you've been forewarned, okay? So let's get into it. I mean, that's more shocking, isn't it? My face. Who is that guy? All right, anyway, here we go. This is the footage. Okay. Get ready. Get ready. Okay, there's the kill. Oh. You can hear the crowd react. No. No. So, there you have it, guys. I'm sorry to have to show that to you, but you can see that there was some gratuitous teabagging in an official Overwatch League game between Shanghai Dragons and Philadelphia. You know, whatever made-up brands that were playing. This has become quite a talking point, and I'm not surprised, actually, because on a serious note, whatever sort of is that, you know, thing to be outraged about in games journalism, it very quickly finds its way into the Overwatch League. I did a whole video about this called The Tiresome Politics of Overwatch. I deleted that video for two reasons. One reason was that a streamer had decided to broadcast the entire video on Twitch, which led to very disturbed people sort of harassing me over it. And second of all, it was about an hour and a half long, and we could have certainly been more succinct in our points that we made. So I'm going to do that video again, I think, at some point, and do it better, and just show that historically, whatever the games press are kind of outraged about, they very quickly apply it to Overwatch, and Blizzard generally comply and give them what they want because they want the mainstream approval. They don't care about the endemic gaming culture and what they find acceptable. So there was this incident that happened. There was a games conference where journalists were invited to play games with developers and then go away and write about them. And a games journalist got teabagged. She got team killed and then teabagged. I guess you could call it team bagging if it's a team kill. Maybe copyright that. But this led to a lot of discussion. Oh my God, a woman being teabagged when she was only there to write about video games, and it spilled over into the mainstream media, of course, and all of their friends all tried to write up these like salacious outrage pieces. You can see here in the Metro, this was the most absurd of them. Man team killed and virtually teabagged female journalist during shocking in-game rampage. I mean, basically, I don't know what's shocking about it, but apparently so. To call it a rampage seems a bit ridiculous as well. But this is the journalist in question. And she even admitted that the person who did it thought that she was somebody else, a friend, one of the other developers, and was doing it for fun. But that didn't stop all the journalists kind of rallying around and saying, oh, this isn't how you handle things, and teabagging is unacceptable, especially towards women. It's toxic behavior, and we aren't going to review your games fairly because we're going to abuse our journalistic privilege to ruin your business and ruin your life. And indeed, they tried to contact the developer, the publisher rather, and try and get this developer fired. And lo and behold, here we are, mysteriously with a teabagging controversy, even though people have been teabagging in Overwatch season long. Shortly after this, it's a big talking point, and games journalists are very upset about it. So I'll give you an example of just some of the ridiculous tweets that I saw in the aftermath of that shocking footage that I played you earlier, because I think, again, you know, you need to be aware. Now, look, obviously, this is cherry picking. I'm not going to lie to you. This is picking some of the more extreme examples, but that's kind of the point, isn't it? So if you look here, you will see this one was just blew my mind. This is someone who describes himself as an Overwatch League mom, saying technically teabagging could be considered sexual assault. I personally don't believe it's good sportsmanship. No, it absolutely isn't good sportsmanship. Why is good sportsmanship something that you absolutely have to apply in a competitive match? I don't know. For me, sportsmanship is a very nebulous concept. There's sportsmanship and gamesmanship to gain an advantage. Both are completely valid in a competitive environment, but I wouldn't try and explain that to someone who's clearly never done anything competitive in their lives. But anyway, teabagging could technically be called sexual assault. In no way could that technically be true. In fact, every legal definition of what sexual assault is requires some form of contact. So, no, it couldn't, because it's in a fucking video game, and therefore no contact can ever happen. But it's okay. You know, we know people like this like to change the definitions as much as they can. I also saw this, of course, because Uber Shouts, who's an Overwatch commentator, came out and said, guys, can we not cry about teabagging in a game? And certainly all the people who work in the industry and have made a contribution to the industry, quite tellingly, are all like, guys, this has been around for a while. This is a silly thing to be upset about. It's crouching. That's all it is. The people who just got here tend to be offended, and you can look. An Overwatch League caster defending teabagging and quote tweeting a disagreeing fan because he thinks their request for professionalism is in bad faith. It's ironically pretty fucking unprofessional. It's not. It's Twitter. It's what it's there for, to drive debate and commentary about issues. I know when you conceal yourself away in an echo chamber and your view must be the right one and must be enforced at all costs, and people must lose their job if they disagree with you. I know that's the environment you're in, but actually that is what Twitter is for. Even if the fact that more and more of you are starting to work for social media companies, you're skewing it the other way. Ostensibly, that's what it's for. A new thing comes out with white men as commentators. You see, it's the old white men. It's just white guys. We're just evil naturally. We just can't help it. It's a shame, really. I hate being born, but simultaneously privileged and evil. But I'll just have to ride it out, I suppose. A new thing comes out with white men as commentators. Oh, this is fun. It would be nice if these men could at least not be outwardly crap. They immediately show that they are. And again, this is just from Mitch Leslie saying, can we not cry about teabagging? I mean, that's it, right? Okay, so what else has been going on? Well, of course, the journalists are already circling, sniffing around, and you will see here one freelance journalist. It's weird. They always call themselves freelance because they don't want any they don't want any ramifications for the publication they work, but they're all right for the same publications. It's always Vice or Waypoint. You know, it's always Kotaku. It's always Polygon. It's never a serious, credible. Well, there aren't any left, are there? But there was in the day. But it's never a serious, credible publication of any particular nature. It's always the same names, isn't it? But okay, again, just an observation, so look, you can see here, Mitch Leslie said, why should people go easy on Shanghai? They should be treated like everyone else. They get the twinings. That's teabagging. It's a brand of tea. And you can see here, this is Simone Beauvoir, because I'm ghosting on your sexism. All right, whatever the fuck that means. It's unprofessional, and gaming should strive to be better. It's always be better, do better. That means do what we want, or we will come for your jobs. That's the code. And this includes broadcasting and player talent. Teabagging is gross. That's the other word they like to use. And at the very least, the Overwatch League should be barring non-sporting behavior in and out of game, and teabagging should be included. So this journalist is calling for teabagging, that is crouching in a game, to be banned. I called her out on Twitter. Needless to say, she immediately blocked me and started saying Richard Lewis shouldn't ever have a job for anyone ever again in esports because he's a misogynist, probably. That's the type of person that Blizzard has welcomed in. That's why I call it Tumblr Watch. They're not interested in just regular, normal gamers. They're interested in these types of people coming in and promoting their game. I don't know why, but they are. So, there you go. That's the thing. That's a fair cross-section of the tweets that were coming out who were outraged about this. Now, there's a ton of flaws with the logic that I probably shouldn't need to point out. In a game where you shoot people until they die, why is desecrating the corpse worse than killing them? I think we would agree, if we were being logical and consistent in our application, murder is worse than desecrating a corpse, especially if neither are good, but killing somebody, turning them into a corpse, desecrating said corpse, probably is more upset by the murder myself. And it also, if you watch that clip, you will notice it's a tracer doing it to another tracer. So is it possible to virtually sexually assault your own dead self? You can already see how absurd this is getting. And what you will find with the terminally offended is that They always pick and choose when to be literal and when to be sort of allegorical and metaphorical, and they do not do it consistently. It's whatever backs up their argument, and their argument is always based on something very ephemeral, like, I just don't like this, so you should change it to suit me because reasons. That's how it always works. Now, I will say, when I was working at E-League, we did a TV show, it went out on TBS, and we were, pretty much... obviously, well, like all TV in America, under the FCC, we have to meet FCC guidelines. And when it came to handling the issue of teabagging in fighting games, we didn't tell the players not to do it, because that would be hugely disrespectful to that, that culture, and that representation of that gaming culture was supposed to be authentic. So we didn't tell people, don't teabag. What we did was, because teabagging is a sexual act and a little old lady could Google teabag and find pictures of testicles in mouths, we said, can we not call it teabagging? So we came up with fun names for it. Down, down action. You saw there, dropping the twinings. I think we did something similar. I don't know if it was twinings or not, but whatever. And Tasty Steve, because he's a legend like that, he did slip up and say teabagging not once but twice, I think, on a broadcast after being told not to. But there was no consequences. There was no complaints. This is American television. This is FCC guidelines. Nobody cared, and certainly nobody cared about the act. That wasn't even a consideration to be grounds for complaint, and that is American television. Another one of the arguments I've seen spouted by the terminally offended, you will always spot these idiots who have just wandered into esports. Oh, hey, is this the next thing I get to fuck up for everyone? You'll see they all make this argument. No one will take esports seriously. That's why it's been a fucking growth industry, one of the biggest growth industries of the last 5 years, and that's the only reason you're paying any interest to it. It is being taken seriously. It is mainstream now. Stop lying. We're fine without your fucking weird morality. We're doing okay. We don't need you. And then the other thing is, this wouldn't happen in other sports. Well, you can definitely fuck off with that, I'm afraid. So first of all, most of these people are white, middle to upper class Americans who've led very privileged lives, but they are racked with guilt about that, so they constantly talk about everyone else's privilege and everything else. So they don't follow other sports around the world. I'm going to introduce you to something called soccer. Soccer it's taking off here in America finally. It's real this time. Let's look. Okay, you've all played Fortnite, I'm sure. Actually, probably not on my channel. The average age on my channel is 24, so I'm guessing no, you probably haven't played Fortnite. Fortnite is a popular game that kids like to play, and in it there is a celebration. When you win and you do a little dance at the end, and some dances are more offensive than others. This one is you jump up and down doing an L on your forehead, which is, of course, the sign for lose. I don't even know if I got that the right way around. Whatever. Yes, you are calling somebody a loser while dancing. This is happening in this game. This was for Cardiff City. This is happening in a game where this player has literally just scored past somebody. This is as close to actually going over and teabagging them as you can get. Now, of course, in real life, yes, it would be sexual assault, wouldn't it? Because unwanted contact of the genitals would be made. But there's no genitals in the virtual world, and even if your character was made entirely of genitals, it couldn't be sexual assault by every legal definition in the world. But anyway, he's doing the little loser dance. It's not very respectful, is it? But it's fucking fun, and the fans love it. Nobody's been outraged about this, by the way, in the Football League. Nobody has complained and said, wow, these Fortnite dances are really disrespectful. Do you know why? Because we're not fucking children, and it's a competitive sport, and the jubilation of scoring and beating your opponent is more important than the person who got scored on having a bit of a fucking cry about it. Also, as well, same player, of course. This is even better. This was the embarrassing groin thrusting dance. I'm not going to get out my chair and do it for you. You need to fucking pay me a lot of money for that shit. But look, here it is. Just watch what he does. There's a guy there. There's a guy right next to him. Oh my God, you're doing groin thrusting next to a guy that you just scored against? Stop the fucking press. This has got to be stopped, guys. What is this? This is sexual assault right here. How dare you? All right? Of course I'm joking. So, even the NFL, the No Fun League as it was called, they brought in some laws a couple of years ago, rules rather, where they said doing an over exuberant celebration was disrespectful, and from now on, no more touchdown celebrations were allowed. Even they have relaxed their rules. That was the other thing, that because again these were American middle to upper class people that think that their morality and value system and culture should be the homogenous world culture. You can see here NFL relaxing touchdown celebrations as of last year, and people can now go back to dunking and having fun, and there's still a few things that are outlawed. I don't think groin thrusting's allowed in the NFL. But I mean, keep in mind that when they did bring in those rules about celebrations, nobody thought it was a good idea. In fact, everybody thought it was stupid. And that's where the whole No Fun League started to really take off. So, again, if you want the NFL to be the benchmark for esports application of rules and laws, don't know about that for me. Because the NFL has a lot of fucking problems. It gets upset over touchdown celebrations, handles domestic abuse pretty terribly. Can we suspend players for it? Oh, should we pretend it didn't happen? Go look at what they did over the Ray Rice situation. So yeah, whatever. Right. Anyway, this is the key part here. If Blizzard, right? I mean, we'll get to this in a bit. Right. If teabagging was hated by Blizzard, and if teabagging wasn't universally accepted as a part of gaming culture, and something that just existed, and something that just happened, then why would this be a thing? Yes, there is a graffiti in the game, and I got to give a shout out to, I think it was Dimitri who sent this across to me. Thank you very much. Because I don't play the game. I like games that, reward time invested rather than just bore me to fucking tears. So I don't play Overwatch anymore. But in the game, there is a graffiti that is a in-game virtual painted spray that you can put on the walls that references teabagging. No, Richard, no. Yeah, look. Here it is. Okay, he sent me the picture. Come on, you can do it. You can do it, XSplit. Right, look at that. Tea time. And look at the tea bag. It looks, I'm going to reference another video. It looks like a set of balls, doesn't it? It looks like a set of balls. That isn't an accident, guys. That is, somebody has designed that and put that in the game. Who's drinking tea in fucking Overwatch? It's about teabagging. They look like balls. Maybe I just see balls everywhere. Again, feel free to tell me in the comments. It's balls, isn't it? That is balls. So come on. Like, obviously, Blizzard don't have an issue with it because it's a harmless part of fucking gaming culture, isn't it? So I remember, actually, because I go back a ways, this isn't the first time that people have tried to sort of get outraged about this type of thing. If you remember Escapist, the Escapist magazine, Escapist used to have lots of good writers and do lots of good journalism, and then just, I don't even know what they do anymore. They've got Yahtzee, that's about it, right? But anyway, look, this happened in like 2010, and this is where somebody claimed to be sexually assaulted on the PS3. And I remember this at the time, and I remember everybody just howling with laughter at just how absurd this was. If you played, if you had a PS3, the online sort of social space was called Home, and you could wander around and interact with people and whatnot, and they had like events, and somebody followed around a woman and was like moving their virtual butt towards them. And somebody complained, saying that my housemate was, on a blog. This is when the blogosphere was taken off. Now the blogosphere just is games journalism. But But he was like, oh, my housemate has been sexually assaulted, and explained why. And look, if sexual assault and other crimes against users, predominantly against women, are allowed to continue, at the very least, Home is going to turn into an all-male application. Worse, it's going to lose a lot of money, starting right now with my roommates. Oh, the boycott. So yes, this isn't the first time it's happened. But enough about the past. Let's talk about the future. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen here, right? The outrage that's going to get generated off this, because these people don't have real things to write about. These journalists don't care about actual important things like, I don't know, sweatshop labor in gaming peripherals, or unscrupulous sponsors coming in and you know, is that okay to use the entire industry to advertise something that's unethical, or cryptocurrency scams taking advantage of people with financial lies, or the young audience of Fortnite being scammed through, you know, ads and stuff on YouTube. You know, they're not interested in any of that stuff that would make a positive impact on the gaming space. What they are interested in is just outrage for clicks from the same group of a few thousand people who have nothing better in their lives except to complain about other people's happiness and enjoyment. And this is what happened last time, all right? There was a joke in Overwatch. I know, imagine that, back when Overwatch had a sense of humor. You blink, you missed it. But there was a Playboy type style magazine in the outhouse of one of the maps, and obviously that's kind of, you know, a reference to things that have been going on, like, you know, Rule 34, like Overwatch porn. I've joked about that on my podcast. The Overwatch fans are super sensitive about that, by the way, because they know that a lot of them are, it's just an offshoot of super extreme weebs and anime obsessives. Fine, whatever. But you can see here that they removed it from the game. They literally removed a joke they put into the game from the game because they were worried about the existence of pornography offending people. So they took it out, and it was a very subtle gag. It says here, of course, this is on Kotaku, Blizzard patches masturbation gag. It's not really what I would call a masturbation gag. You can see here there's no gratuitous nudity in the magazine. It's just a centerfold, right, in a adult magazine. It's not even explicitly pornography, and it's in a toilet where, you know, if you've ever worked on a building site, you might come across that type of thing where guys who are working on a building site might want to go and get some mild titillation in the 15 minutes they get where they're not humping fucking brick. So yes, they patched it out, and I'll tell you, all right, bold prediction, there's going to be about 2 or 3 pieces. I might get mentioned and quoted, and it's about that time of the month where someone came after my career again. So I think that might happen. And they're going to say teabagging. Why won't Blizzard stop this? It might be on compete, you know. You Polygon, keep an eye out. It's coming. Somebody, and again, they're a hive mind, so they all talk in Slack groups and stuff together. They're all friends. So somebody will draw the short straw of having to put the article out in their name, and then everyone will go wild about it. And then Blizzard will be like, oh my me, did you see this negative press in this games magazine written by somebody that doesn't reflect our core audience? Let's ban teabagging. And that'll happen. Keep in mind, and I'll say this again, they've already told commentators that using the combination of words feels bad man cannot be done on a broadcast because it evokes the alt-right. It's wild in Overwatch, guys. It's crazy. And yes, I'm pretty sure that graffiti will be taken out the game and players will be told not to teabag anymore. It's coming. And if I'm wrong, I'll be pleasantly surprised. But with Overwatch, not been wrong so often, have I? So anyway, there you go. I'm going to get back to my hangover. Watching the video. I'll catch you.